Hello students, welcome to the course in operating system. I, Rafiqul Islam, Assistant Professor, Computer Science and Engineering Department, Guru Nanak Institute of Technology under JIS Group. In lecture 5, we have completed up to process states, and in this case we seen that for a particular process there are 7 states, and in this lecture we have to see the state flow diagram and events which are triggering for one state to another. So the topic is process states transition diagram. So this is our topic today, process states transition diagram. So this is our topic. So first we discuss the diagram, and using this diagram we can also discuss some important points, that is process schedulers, process queues, dispatcher, dispatch latency, etc. Okay, so now we know that the first state of a process, this is called new state. New, and this is a state where a process about to create, a process just being created. Okay, so no resources are allocated in this state, and obviously this is the concept of secondary memory. So it is secondary memory concept, about to create. So after successfully creation, we have to admit it into a state. This is called ready state. So suppose this is ready state, and this is actually admitted or we can write it created. So this is ready state, and obviously the ready state is the concept of main memory. So here the process is ready for execution and waiting for CPU. Okay, so after that we have another state, this is called running state. And obviously this is the concept in CPU, and here the event which is called scheduler dispatch. Scheduler dispatch. So here we have a scheduler which select a process from ready queue and put it into CPU for execution. And the next state, this is called termination. Terminate state, and here we can write exit. So after completion of the process, we have to terminate it. Okay, so this is the simple diagram. So here we have minimum 4 states. This is the simplest way through which a process can terminate: new, ready, running, and terminate. So minimum 4 states a process can have. Now sometimes we have a transition from running state to ready state, and here basically the events is time slice expire, time slice expired. So what is time slice? So basically, if we use round robin algorithm, actually what is round robin algorithm, which we will study few lectures later. So in case of round robin algorithm, for each process there are a particular time slot. This is called time slice or sometimes time quantum. So for each time slice, CPU switches from one process to another. So this is actually time slice expired. Or here maybe the event is called priority. So suppose a process running in this CPU and one high priority process which we have to schedule it. So obviously we have to stop the currently running process and put it into ready queue, and again we have to schedule the highest priority process in CPU. So that's why this is priority. So in this particular case, we have to switch the process from running state to ready state. Okay, so this is the another transition. Now sometimes we have another state. This is called waiting state. Waiting state, or it is also called block state. Okay, so suppose a process is running in CPU and in the middle of its execution it has to do some IO. or input output operation. So here the event is input output operation, IO event. So then the process must put into a queue. This is actually waiting queue, and this is actually the concept of device memory. Device memory. Each device will have its own memory. So this is waiting state, and after the completion of IO, we have to load the process again into ready queue. So here we can write IO completion. IO completion. So this is the another state, that is waiting state. And here the event basically input output operation. So this is going for input output operation, and after completion of input output operation, again it is loaded into ready queue. Now we have another two states. So the one is called suspend ready. So here suppose we have a state, this is suspend ready, and from here we have a transition, this is called suspend, and again we have another transition from suspend ready to ready, this is resume. Actually, suppose in a particular situation there are some processes in ready queue and there are no free space to load the new process in ready queue. But in a particular time, we have to load a high priority process to ready queue. So at that moment, we have to choose a process and we have to load it into this suspend ready state. This is basically nothing but secondary memory. This is the concept of secondary memory. So we have to load it into secondary memory, and we have to load it into secondary memory to make room, to make free room for the newly scheduled process. Okay, and after some time again we can load this process into ready queue. So this is called suspend ready, and obviously this is the concept of secondary memory. Now we have another state, this is we can call suspend wait, suspend wait or suspend block. So from here this is suspend, and from here to here this is resume. Actually it is just like this. So we have to free the space in device memory. At that moment we have to choose a particular process and put it into this secondary memory backing store, and again we have to load it into waiting queue. So this is also the concept of secondary memory, right? So this is actually the process states transition diagram. So we have new state, then ready, then running, then terminate, and another state waiting, or this is called block, sometimes called block state. And we have suspend wait actually waiting state to another state, and this state to again waiting state. So that's why it is called suspend wait, suspend from waiting state, right? And this is called suspend ready, because suspend from ready state. Okay, this is secondary memory concept, this is main memory, this is CPU, this is device memory, this is secondary memory, and this is also secondary memory concept. So this is the process states transition diagram and different event. Okay. So now using this diagram we can explain some other points also. Okay, so the next point, this is process scheduling queues. So there are three types of queues exist in this process scheduling. So the next point which we have to discuss, this is process scheduling queues. So basically we have three types of queues are there in process scheduling. One is in this particular secondary memory, there are a particular queue, this is called job queue. So in secondary memory we have a queue, this is called job queue, where jobs are loaded. Okay, so this is job 1, job 2, job 3, job 4, etc. So this is our job queue, or sometimes called job pool, and this is actually secondary memory. And here we have another queue, this is called ready queue. So it is in main memory, this is called ready queue. Ready queue, and here different processes are loaded. Ready queue. And in this particular waiting state we have another queue, this is called waiting queue. Waiting queue. So here processes are waiting for IO operation, and this is the concept of device memory. Device memory. So there are three types of queues in our process scheduling: job queue or job pool, it is in secondary memory; ready queue, this is in main memory where processes are loaded; and in device memory we have another queue, this is called device queue. And these queues which can implement using linked list. So using linked list, we can implement it, linked list. Okay, so there are three types of queues. Okay, now using this diagram also we can explain different schedulers. Actually, there are also three types of schedulers are there. Number one, long-term scheduler. Or it is sometimes called job scheduler. Second one is called short-term scheduler. Or sometimes called CPU scheduler. And third one is called medium-term scheduler. Medium-term scheduler. Long-term scheduler or job scheduler, short-term scheduler or CPU scheduler, and medium-term scheduler. There are three types of scheduler. Now, in case of new state to ready state, in case of new state to ready state, we have a scheduler. This is called long-term scheduler. Actually, long-term scheduler select the program, select the new process from secondary memory and loaded it into ready queue for execution. So this is actually from new state to ready state, we have long-term scheduler. Okay. And from ready state to running state, from ready state to running state, we have a scheduler called short-term scheduler. Short-term scheduler. And here we have another module. This is the helping module of short-term scheduler. This is called dispatcher. So this is short-term scheduler from ready queue to running state, right? So actually, ready state process would be picked and then the CPU would be allocated to that process. This task is done by short-term scheduler. Actually, somewhere it is also written that which process will be picked, that will be decided by short-term scheduler, and then the short-term scheduler will call the dispatcher, and dispatcher will pick the process from ready state and put it into CPU. Okay. So with the help of dispatcher, short-term scheduler can select a process from ready queue and put it into running state. So this is our another scheduler, short-term scheduler are called CPU scheduler. And now from these two states, from ready to suspend ready and from waiting to suspend wait. So in these two states, from here to here, we have a scheduler called medium term scheduler, and here also. Okay, so from waiting state to suspend ready and from ready state to suspend ready, there are a scheduler called medium term scheduler. Okay, so these are the three types of scheduler. So please remember it. From new state to ready state, it is long term scheduler. From ready state to running state, here we have short term scheduler and a different module which is called dispatcher. And from ready state to suspend ready, this is medium term scheduler. And also waiting state to suspend wait, we have again medium term scheduler. So these are the all about process state transition diagram, process scheduling queues, and different types of schedulers. Okay, now see the another topic, another module in this part which we have to study separately. This is dispatcher and dispatch latency. So now see what is dispatcher and dispatch latency. So basically, suppose it is our ready queue, and this is the CPU, and here we have short-term scheduler, and also we have a different module which is called dispatcher. Okay, so as we already told that process will be picked, that will be decided by short-term scheduler, and then the short-term scheduler will call the dispatcher, and dispatcher will pick the process from ready state and put it into CPU. So decision is taken by short-term scheduler, and dispatcher actually pick the process from ready queue and load it into CPU. Now the time it takes, actually dispatcher, the time it takes for the dispatcher to stop one process and start another running is known as the dispatch latency. Actually this is, we can say, switching time. Switching of the CPU from one process to another is called dispatch latency. So obviously this is an overhead, dispatch latency. Okay, in our numerical problem, every time we ignore it. Okay, this is very small amount of time, dispatch latency. Okay, so this is the all about process state transition diagram. Okay, so here we discussed, so here again we discussed process state transition diagram. This is first one, to process scheduling queues. Number 3, process schedulers. Number 4, dispatcher. And number 5, dispatch latency. Okay, so this is very important topic. Now here we have to discuss a problem on process states. So suppose consider a system with n CPU. So here number of CPU is equal to n and number of processes, actually process is equal to number of process is equal to m. So the question is how many processes are there number 1 ready queue, number 2 running, and number 3 block. And here we have to write minimum and maximum. So obviously in ready state we have minimum number of process will be 0 and maximum it will be m, because in our system there are total m processes. So all processes are ready for execution in ready queue. So here the maximum number should be m. In running state it is also be 0. No processes are running in CPU. And now what will be the maximum number? So in our system there are n number of CPU. So we know that one CPU can execute one process at a time. So n number of CPU can execute n number of processes at a time. So it will be n. And in case of block state, so obviously the minimum should be 0 and the maximum should be m. Okay, so this is very interesting problem on different process state. Okay, so in this video we are discussed basically up to this point. Okay, so now in next lecture we have operations on process. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next one. Thank you once again.